pressure low. It's a big grand.
We come to you on this darkest of days, sad and forlorn. I'm Owen and I'm sad. Dan is here. How do you feel?
Sad.
Sad. Rings of Power is over. It's gone. It's finished. Season 1. I mean, it will be back for several more hours of Lord of the Rings goodness. But season 1 is over. Was it amazing?
Yeah.
Yes. Am I sad that it's over? Also, yes. There's a gaping hole in my chest and I don't know what to fill it with. House of the Dragon probably for another couple of weeks and then that's also gone. And then what do I watch?
I'm just thinking, I literally just started reading the Lord of the Rings again last night, and I just realized I did it because I had an empty hole where like Tolkien stories.
Yeah, we need something.
No, must fix that.
Something has to fill it. But yeah, we're here. We're going to talk about the finale, and then I guess a little bit of our final thoughts can kind of merge into the season 1 as a whole. Now that it's all been released. Now, So yeah, all right, let's do it. Let's get this thing rocking. Let's recap sort of season 1, episode 8 of Rings of Power.
I mean, what the hell is going on?
We open on I actually can't remember how this thing opened. My whole mind is a mess of numbness. How did this episode start? We don't know. We don't care. Talking points. Let's do those. There's big things that happened in this episode. Lots of stuff was revealed. When last we saw...
Look, we'll just start with one thing. Galadriel arrives with Halbrand to Salam and
Eregion.
Eregion. Yes, I was talking
Not even close.
No, I was talking about the person who's there. Not.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Lord Salam.
Yeah, him. Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. Yes. They're arriving there. Again, I'm still. It's probably the one thing I'm like, yeah, that doesn't make sense. How Halbrand, who was like near death's door, but could travel by horse, which I imagine was quite a distance away to this elven
To
city.
be fair, he's not exactly in control of the horse when he arrives at Eregion. He's completely passed out, lying stooped on the back of it, and they've been riding non-stop for several weeks.
Also, just to make clear, we obviously find out stuff about Halbrand in this that clearly makes it that he could survive this, but I still feel like Galadriel probably should have gone, why did I do that? That doesn't seem like a smart move, to just put someone has a seeping wound at the side.
On the back of a horse?
Yeah.
Listen.
Where's that King's Fall, baby?
Where's her... Only the magic of the elves can heal this wound. You're an elf, Galadriel.
Yeah.
Do something about it. I mean, maybe she was. Maybe that... Well, obviously, we know why he didn't die. Obviously, we know that much. But all right, let's just get there. Let's just get it out of the way. All right. Do you want to take your lap of victory on her now, or do you want to do it later?
No, Cosy. I'll take this lap of victory, and I'll take the one later on as well.
We take them both now, and then shut up about it. Okay. Which one? Okay. So Halbrand. Okay. Well, first of all, it becomes like immediately obvious in this. They're not trying. I mean, I know they say it later on in the episode, but like the first.
Hold on. Do you mean lines like consider it a gift?
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? But like he walks in and immediately, suddenly Halbrand out of nowhere is like giving advice to the greatest elven smith of the last 3,000 years about blacksmithing.
Still kind of weird that he didn't remember alloys.
It's such a weird thing for a master smith not to be like, oh, I could have combined it. I've just been trying to hit it with a hammer for the last several months.
Wait, you mean going at super duper pressure doesn't work? Oh, we should just do it lightly?
Maybe, maybe just do it, be gentle or something. Just gently mix it with things. Yeah. So, but they're not, there's like a 10 to 15 minute, maybe longer, I can't remember. Time is weird in these things.
Hold on. Here's the thing. Do you think because they have been at peace for so long, and because Celebrimbor is just like considered a master smith, maybe he's not a master smith, but maybe everyone was too young to question him? They're just like, yeah, no, he definitely is. And he's like, yes, I know everything about smithing.
Well, we don't know a single thing he's made up to this point, really, do we?
That's a fair point.
He's like, I wish I was
as
as good as the guy who made the Silmarils, and everyone's like, are you even close to being that good at this point?
The only design that we've seen is like the forge, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not really like a tool or a jewelry or magic.
Which
piece.
is that where they are
Yeah.
presently? There is, so it's finished.
Yes, it's finished. Yeah.
Okay, all right. It just dawned on me I was unclear on that. I thought for some reason the forge was being built somewhere else.
No,
But then,
the forge is-
no, you're right. Okay. Yeah. Halbrand is now. So there's a 10 to 15 minute, 20 minutes or so of like Halbrand talking to Celebrimbor and giving him really weird, simple advice on how to make things and design
Heat
things.
the
And
metal, it melts.
metal can be made into ring shapes, sir. And Celebrimbor was like, "My God, this man's a genius."
But
And-
for now, we're only going to build a crown because that's all we have for this, and
Yeah.
the light will reflect internal, and one person will wear it. It's you, elf lord.
You,
And he's
the king, the High King,
Yeah.
Gilgalad. Yes.
yeah.
But there's a whole this going on, and it's all this like Galadriel is like suspicious now because Halbrand, she sees Halbrand offering Celebrimbor some advice, and she's like, "Hang on a second, this is odd." And she's got some other elf like looking through the histories of the kings of the Southlands, which apparently
we
were
don't
a
actually
thing.
have a lot of information. Research it anyway, bitch.
Yeah, we don't know a lot about the kings of the Southlands, actually, really, except for this one scroll that I'll find that's an exact lineage of all of the kings of the Southlands up to the moment their line ended. How about that? Will that do?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, I guess that's enough. But this is going on, and it's like, there's no way at this point, once he starts doing these things, and once he says the words, consider it a gift, nobody, this is where the distance for me comes between, like, what must it be like to watch this show and not know anything about Tolkien? I want to sit down with somebody who doesn't have a fucking clue and just see at this point where they still like, why is she suspicious of him? He's just off. He said he was a blacksmith. We saw him making things on Numenor. Obviously, he knows stuff. Like, because I was like, oh, okay, no, he's Sauron now. So, I said it. My bad, I said it. So Halbrand is Sauron, like 100% confirmed.
Called it.
100% confirmed. Halbrand is Sauron. There's no pussyfooting about it anymore.
Okay, I don't want to get super canon because it's been a mire field, and it's been a day since I read the Silmarillions. But okay, Sauron hides his evil nature, even though in the Silmarillions, Elrond and Galadriel seem to sense something about him, but they're not sure. They don't realize that he's Sauron, right, in the books. But did that happen before he went to the Numenorians? Because I thought this was
yes.
Yes. Okay.
So he goes
still
to,
has to go to Numenor.
So there's supposed to be a war now, basically.
Yeah.
He does the Anatar thing with the elves, and then somebody, it's not Galadriel as far as I can remember, it's somebody else like discovers who he really is, and they banish him and blah blah blah. And then there's a big war. He goes back to Mordor and he raises an army, and then there's a war. And then Numenor comes along and they capture him and take him back to Numenor.
Yeah.
And then the fall of Numenor happens and he escapes again.
I mean, no, Numenor doesn't get.
And then there's another war, and then he goes back
hold
to
on,
Mordor.
Hold on, Owen, how can Numenor fall with such a trusted beardy fellow?
Listen, Mr. Not Up to Anything, it will get to him, all right? He's fine. He just still has a lovely beard, that's all I'll say. But yeah, so Halbrand is there. Galadriel finally discovers it because she's like, tell me who you really are. The line that nobody's worn that thing. Yeah, nobody's worn. Yeah, nobody has worn that symbol that you were wearing that I recognized and said, I told you were the king of the Southlands.
Like, how old? Like, I mean, it's 1,000 years. Like, even amongst elves, that's a bit of a stretch. Like, that's still a little bit of timeline.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's not a weekend for them.
Nobody's. It's a strange one, to be honest. This is all very, not convenience the wrong word, but it's weird. It feels like condensed again,
Yeah.
Like maybe if I don't know, like maybe they wanted to have like a couple of episodes where Galadriel was like looking into Halbrand. If this
Yeah.
was a more contained show, and we were only looking at Galadriel, and it was just Galadriel in Eregion, or even if they were in Numenor or wherever, it would be just Galadriel like talking to people and being suspicious.
Like
And
Galadriel wouldn't hear like a muffled consider it a gift.
yeah, right.
Behind the
And
room or something.
do you know what I mean? And then there'd be other, and it'd be like Galadriel trying to tell everyone, no, he's not who he says he is, and everyone's like, will you shut up? He's making me a crown, you idiot.
He told us how
you
we can
moron.
mix metals together.
Yes, he's a better blacksmith than Celebrimbor, you idiot.
Celebrimbor's running out
It's
crying.
just it's so strange. I was watching it going, what's going on here?
Oh, okay. So the way I'm explaining myself about Celebrimbor is that the elves are. I know I never
Sorry.
be able to pronounce the name right. It's fine.
Oh God.
No, but here's the thing. The way I see it, elves usually just try to take something purely from nature and then manipulate it to work for them. That's why we have like their entire homes are just built of trees that have just bent into shape. Everything in there is, I think, is about purity and perfectness from nature. So I guess they probably do have heard of obviously mixing it, because he kind of mentioned, yeah, I've heard of mixing metals, but then he never considered that there could actually be strengths in mixing certain metals together, because elves don't do that. Elves just take what is there and perfect it or twist it to their use. So I guess like he's just like, no, he never considered that you could actually strengthen metals by mixing them together. And that's a very elvish thing. They don't like mixing things together. They like the very rigid, this belongs here, this belongs there, this belongs
that's why they hate Elrond.
Yeah, they do. And they do.
The bastard.
They constantly belittle him. You know, that is a thing they do with him. And they think dwarves and elves shouldn't mix as well. There's always sad stories about, oh, humans and elves getting together, calling for trouble there. Like, there is a sense of elves want everything in its place, and that's it. So the idea of mixing something that's technically weaker or not as good with something better, and the final result actually being enhanced, would never cross their mind. Because they probably just have to pray to a rock and a perfect bit of silver comes out for them. You know?
Probably, yeah. Wonder if Celebrimbor is even a smith, he is, because we see him do things, but like, if his version of smithing is just singing to the ground.
I mean, to be fair, it's what the dwarves are doing too. Literally, we see him do it. But it is a good point, because they talk about how, they are doctors in elf society, but because they don't age, they're more like Hippocrates. They study other things in nature. So there is something to be said about that.
There is.
Yeah.
And you've said it.
I did. I'll say more if I want. Anyway, she confronts him. Let's just get to it.
She confronts. Yeah. So Galadriel finds the one document that they have that it happens to be exactly what she needs to figure out that Halbrand's not.
I like to imagine they say we don't have much on them, and they just go into the one room where they have the information. It's just one scroll. It's like,
I'm pretty sure that's it. They just happen to have this one thing that's exactly what Galadriel needs, basically. Yeah. If they could, the only way it could have been better is if your man had a Halbrand's diary or something where he just wrote, "I is Lord Sauron," in the corner of the page. So she confronts him. She's down at the river and she's like, "Tell me who you really are," blah 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 blah, and. Yeah, so he says it, and then, he doesn't say it for a while, and then he, like, does some weird brain mumbo-jumbo. He's like, I'm inside your head, Galadriel, and she's like, get out of here, you weirdo.
With her brother, and her brother says, touch the dog once more.
And her brother is really creepy looking.
Yeah.
He's like,
we kind of go back to the
dead behind the eyes.
Yeah, but we kind of go back to the whole point that Sauron has always been presented by the evil guys, and now by Sauron, that someone who just wants structure. He doesn't want to like destroy everyone in the world. He wants to have everything structured well and make the world be efficient. And he makes points like, hey, look, Morgoth was holding my mind and it felt like a fist grabbed me, and then when he released me, he's trying to make himself very sympathetic. And I think the scary part was like Galadriel was almost there. especially when her brother thing appeared. She's almost like, then she realizes her
There,
brother died.
there's
No,
definitely a moment in particular when
yeah,
he's pretending to be her dead brother and basically
yeah,
saying that like, no, Sauron didn't kill me. I was trying to help him or something, and
yeah,
I like we were friends, lovers,
yeah.
whatever. We were gonna rule together, and then, but like, yeah, I don't know. I like.
Sauron thinks he's doing the right thing. Sauron isn't a mustache twirling villain who thinks, "Oh, I'm dastardly." He genuinely believes that.
Do you
I
think
think
he?
he
Do you
genuinely believes
think
he
he
wants to make
does?
order.
Do you
Yes,
think he
100%.
actually believes what he's
Yes,
saying, or is this
yes,
the party line that he's given
100%.
to Galadriel?
No, I never saw Sauron as a mustache twirling villain who knows he's doing bad things or bad things. Absolutely not. He genuinely believes that him being in power is the best thing for Middle Earth.
I
100%.
never saw Sauron as having any sort of personality whatsoever, to be quite
Yes,
honest with you.
but to be fair,
He's just
in the
an
Lord of
entity.
the Rings, in the movies, he was just a big red eye, and in the books, he was just a red eye planted on top of armor and stuff. You know, there is no,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's
yeah.
interesting to see Sauron in any way have any sort of a personality or belief
I mean, look,
system or anything
if
like.
he takes after Melkor in any way, in his same ideas, like Melkor wanted creation, he wanted the light of, you Eru. He wanted to rule Middle Earth because he thought his song, his thinking was better. That's all. I mean, that's the truth for any kind of villain or dictator, isn't it? They think they're doing the right thing. There's a price to pay, but they're willing to pay it because it's the right thing for the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I don't know though. There's something about it was the line where he essentially he offers Galadriel like to rule at his side sort of thing, and he's kind of like, "Oh, we're perfect together. We like I give you power and you keep me away from
Yeah.
evil or whatever the fuck." And I just thought this doesn't this is bullshit.
But the things he mentions it early on as well, when after they had the battle, and with the Southlanders, and they won the battle before the volcano broke, he said, "This feels right." Now I thought it was elves and men fighting together at that stage, but I think now more he means it personally. And the worst thing is, I think she agreed. She felt the same way.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want. I don't know if I'm okay with if that's gonna be a thing now. If it's gonna be a lot of Sauron now trying to tempt Galadriel to the dark side kind of thing, and
Oh, I definitely will be.
that's where they're
yeah,
heading with this, right? It's gonna there's
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
a lot of I don't know. In a
But here's the
lesser
thing, right?
show, I'd even say there'd be like an 8 episode arc where Galadriel is evil sort of thing happening at some
Oh,
point. Did you know what I mean?
I don't
Like,
hope for that now. No, I am glad that Galadriel is a mixed person in this, because we've always known Galadriel had a bit of a slice of evilness. I don't want to say evilness, but like darkness in her. Like,
yeah.
even if you just read the Lord of the Rings, she's not cookie cutter. I'm a happy elf and everything's great. Um, Here's the thing I'll say as well. I Having kind of gone back into Silmarillions recently and reading up, they are kind of trying to go after the whole idea of Melkor and Varda. Varda is the wife of Manwë, and Manwë is considered like the brother of Melkor. And throughout the text, we're kind of told that Melkor actually fears Varda the most because she still has like the light of Iluvatar on her face. She can see and hear across everywhere, and she's worshipped and loved because she is the light. She is the queen of the stars. And so that's the whole story of Melkor. He wants that light and that power because he wants the secret fire. And I find it interesting that now we have Sauron basically going after Galadriel, who, at least in later years, is considered the same way. She is seen as this light, being of light and power, and all the elves love her. So, like, some people might be groaning out like, "Oh, Sauron likes Galadriel," but it's actually a really cool kind of rhyming thing of what happened before in previous ages. I wasn't going to do the Star Wars Josh Lucas. It rhymes, but you know what I mean. Like, there's actually some deep lore thinking here that I really appreciate.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah,
I still
read
think
the
he
Silmarillions.
still think
It's
he wants to
hard,
kiss her.
but yeah, he does. No, he wants her. He wants her as his queen. Well, he does, and that's what I mean. I think he's genuine about it. He does want her on his side. He does want to rule Middle Earth. He thinks he'd be the best ruler for Middle Earth. Now we know it's not because he's a corrupted cunt who'll sacrifice anything he wants.
Yeah.
You know, but
I,
that's what he thinks.
I wonder where he goes now is the thing. What
Well,
does
we kind
so?
of see where he goes.
No, I
His
mean I don't mean
mascara and his darkened
I,
hair.
I don't mean physically. All right, I don't mean if physically he returns to Mordor. We see that, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like, what's the story in season 2 for Lord Sauron? Like, is he now okay? So actually, because we'll get to the other bits first, and then I have questions about everything. But so essentially, Galadriel says no to Sauron. She wakes up. I guess she's been knocked out or whatever. Halbrand's gone, and she rushes. Elrond is there, and she's like, "Hello, Galadriel, what's going on?" And she rushes off to try and. Well, we think she's trying to stop Celebrimbor from finishing what they're working on, which morphed from a crown into 2 rings.
Or at least not have Halbrand there, because the whole idea is that the Elven rings were made in secret. Yes, he had some build up to it, but we actually see the making of the rings. Halbrand had nothing to do with the actual production. Maybe the planning, but not the production.
He also it was supposed to be a crown, and then they changed it to 2 rings, and
Which
then
made me really curious. I was like, how would that work?
after he leaves, they change. Galadriel decides it should be 3.
Yes.
And they have some sort of I don't know. Her argument is basically that, like, 1 will corrupt, 2 will divide, 3 is perfectly balanced.
It does kind of make sense, because
it is. It's just
the idea is that there's more likely that only one person will probably get corrupt, so the other 2 can outbalance them. That kind of works, you know.
I'm not saying it doesn't work. It just feels like an odd. I don't know. It feels like something they're giving us a reason for something that we didn't really need a reason for. Why was it 3 rings? Why not?
Can I just say they spent a lot of time looking at those rings when they were finished, especially Celebrimbor. He was just like the whole way there. It was very kind of weird. Like, they kept on going back to him. He had nothing to say. You just had him smiling down the road.
Yeah, but so here's the thing, right? So she gets there, and then she's like, I thought she was rushing to either stop their production or, like, stop something from happening. And she gets there, and she's kind of like, Halbrand's gone, and Galadriel then is like, first she's like, there has to be 3 of them, first of all. 2 is stupid. Don't be an idiot, you dumb boys. We need 3 of them. Also, there has to be, these are for us and nobody else. They're just for the elves, and we don't give them to anyone else. We don't share them with anyone, and they're just for elf people and elves only and elves forever. Long live the elves, basically. And they make the 3 rings.
From her point of view, though, because first of all, she cares. I doesn't seem to care for or against the dwarves, and then she's just been betrayed by someone who appeared human. So she's like, no, inner circle, no one else. Off you go.
Yeah, right. Okay, so they have the rings. They look gorgeous, by the way. They're stunning items of power.
So many people
They're
complain
beautiful.
about the looks of it. I think they look far. Like, don't get me wrong, the Lord of the Rings movies, I like the look of them in that, but I like that they look a bit more chunkier and bigger, because these are rings of power.
They're awesome.
Like,
they look beautiful. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
They are very well made. Congratulations,
I really
Celebrimbor.
wonder where the gems come from. They're from Valinor. They mentioned that. Never mind.
They're from Valinor, and the gold and the silver is of the highest purity because it was also made in Valinor, because it's Galadriel's dagger from her brother.
Mithril in there.
Yeah, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful items. Yeah. Questions then going forward afterwards of this, couple of them for Sauron, right? So I can't. Maybe you can enlighten me as somebody who's recently been reading the Silmarillion. From whence dost the dwarves getteth their rings?
I think they. Okay, so in the Silmarillions, if I remember right, again, I've only been reading bits and pieces of it. Those rings of men and dwarf and all, I think, were made first before the elves were made. Because the elves, because Sauron was involved in making all the rings for the dwarves and for the men, and so he was part of that entire corruption. And then the elven ones were made in secret to hide from it. So I think the elven rings, at least to my thinking, and please tell me I'm wrong, but the 3 rings of powers of the elves, I'm not talking about lesser rings, 3 rings of power were made in secret after Sauron showed his betrayal, away from everyone. All the other rings were made with the elves, with Sauron. And then Sauron went off and made his own ring.
It's a lot of secret rings.
Yeah, again, this is the thing. I think in the original telling, they kind of experimented with rings first. There were lesser rings of power, not even rings of power, just rings with magical ability, But yeah, I definitely felt like the elven rings were always made later, in secret, to kind of
Yeah,
have a
you're right.
guard against.
You are right. So the 7 and the 9 for the men and the dwarves, respectively, were made by the elves under Sauron's guidance, and the
Yes.
3 elven rings of power were made solely by Celebrimbor.
Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, there is another thing that could happen where they change it again a little bit. So like, yes, the elven rings were made first this time. It's weird, but maybe Sauron goes to other elves.
yeah, so that's what my question is. So what happens now? Because clearly they've changed this then from the things, because the elvish rings were made first, and Sauron had some sort of an influence in their design.
I would tell you there is a kingdom that doesn't like elves, first of all, that we know, Numenor, at the moment. We have an elf that's not part of the normal elves, an evil elf, a dark elf, that they could maybe wrangle in to help. Because we know he made weapons as well.
Who?
Adar. Like I think he made some weapons as
Who's
well.
going to wrangle him in?
Sauron. Sauron will get Adar to join him to go to Numenor.
Nah, Adar hates Sauron, man. He killed him, remember? Sauron's dead. He murdered him.
Yeah. Until he won't, and he'll serve him. Because here's the thing, even compared to Melkor, in later ages, it seems that Sauron had more control over orcs than Melkor himself had. So I see maybe enough of the orcs siding with Sauron that Adar feels like he's obligated. Or maybe even Adar gets tricked, because Sauron is a trickster. Sauron might not even tell him that he's Sauron. He might just say, hey, we're some humans who want to make some powerful stuff. Want to come with us to Numenor? And he goes, all right, shit, yeah.
I'm also a first orc.
Yeah.
I'm also an Uruk. Look, it's your brother, Uruk too.
Again, we've literally seen an entire season where Sauron tricked quite a lot of viewers. Now, not all viewers. I think it's been one of the strongest theories that Halbrand is Sauron, but in general, he tricked everyone in the show.
But do you think now, so say season 2, do you think Sauron, not as Halbrand, but as, under a new name or whatever, does he go to the dwarves now? Does Halbrand now go to Prince Durin under the mountain and bend his ear a little bit? Or does our fucking favorite dwarven homie Elrond do it?
Maybe. I have so one thing that I want to happen, though it might not now because they changed the timeline, is that Sauron does go to the Valar at some stage, right? Now, I actually don't think we'll see the Valar in this.
No, I wouldn't say so. Yeah. I don't think they in this, they are things that can be seen necessarily at the moment.
Yeah. So and it's one of the things that they have to ask for permission for a lot of the Valar and what they do, because most of their story is in the Silmarillion. Now, they are mentioned in the appendices, but for the most part, they are. And like you said before in previous episode, you need to get permission. They need to get permission for each character outside of the Lord of the Rings books. So where Sauron, I think, yeah, I mean, Durin is at his lowest, I guess. He might seek power.
He might need it to fight a Balrog.
He might. Maybe the Balrog...
I doubt, to be fair.
Or the Balrog cuts through the kingdom like butter, and they have to rebuild, and they need the power of the ring to help them. Here's the thing. We also need to see more of the dwarves, the family of dwarves, because it was each one of the houses of dwarves that got a ring.
Yeah.
as well.
I mean,
And they're all over the place.
we also don't have 9 kings of men right now. There
No,
are
we
no
don't.
king. We don't have king. We don't even have kingdoms of men yet.
No.
Which is
And
where I
now
wonder
Halbrand can't be the who's the head of
the king who was promised in the Southlands or whatever the fuck.
No. Who was the Witch King? Now Halbrand.
Oh
won't
yeah,
become
oh
the
yeah.
Witch
He's
King,
not. No, that's something. Maybe the show's gonna make weird, not up to anything at all. Counselor Bearded Man, something. I don't know.
We should remember,
It's
there's 3 seasons left. There is room.
4, but
4 seasons left. There is room.
no, I know there's room, but I wonder if I am starting to wonder if they're going to do a time jump of some sorts between seasons.
I've been saying that throughout the season. I definitely think they have to almost. Like, all this can't happen over, 5 years.
Yeah, but then it's weird one because I don't know. Somebody, whilst Durin and the Dwarves not seen in this episode at all, somebody I was surprised we didn't see anything whatsoever of is Isildur. Not
dead.
in. That's what I mean. This is where I'm like, if you're watching this and you somehow have no concept of who Isildur is, do you think he's dead? Are people just like, it's a pity that kid died. Guess we'll never worry about him ever again.
Hold on. You don't have to be deep into canon.
But that's what I'm saying. How could you possibly? How is there not anyone who hasn't? I'm sure there's people out there who've never seen any of the movies or something. But why would they be watching The Rings of Power?
I don't know.
Everyone knows who Isildur is. He's, you know what I mean? Nobody's sitting going, Isildur is dead. I guess he can never grow up to betray the realms of men ever again.
But Isildur is a Númenórean. They can live, 250 years? He's, 19?
We guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, I mean, and his dad is what?
Unclear
50?
Also.
Yeah.
Oh, and he could be, his dad could be 190 years old. We don't know.
Yeah, no problem. But let's assume they have a normal distance between ages, and we assume that's, he's 19 and the dad, let's say 50, right? We still have 200 years we can throw on them. They are men.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Halbrand now is Sauron, so we don't have to worry about him aging and dying.
Yeah, and the show has never actually. They've never mentioned that Númenóreans are different to people of the Southlands, physically, I guess, in terms of how they live and stuff.
I'm sure they never have. I can't remember. That's fair. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they've ever said they've never put an age on any of them in a way that's been oh yeah, cool. These people live for a long time. If they do.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a strange one. I mean, yeah. Most of my questions are to do with what's going to happen now, because I don't know. Everything's
I think a time skip is needed. I think we need to establish kingdoms. Even if they do a time skip of, let's say, 70 years, and they just said, hey, look, some kingdoms have arisen now. I can believe that happening within a generation or two, That's fine.
But then I could also see season 2 opening with Isildur, and he's in Mordor.
Why?
I think.
He's Mordor,
no, I mean,
fair.
why is he? That's where he is. Yeah, but I don't know. I could see the season 2 opening with a lot more focus on Isildur, and if he's in Mordor and he's witnessing certain things, maybe Isildur for a brief time in this show listens to Adar. Maybe this is the start of. Maybe the show might be trying to offer some sort of explanation for the weakness in Isildur that will eventually cause him to not throw the ring into Mount Doom.
Yeah.
And betray everything.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I'm
I don't
still
know.
wondering about the voice that called to him when he's at
sea. There's something happening with Isildur. The show clearly has some sort of obviously we know plot-wise things have to happen with Isildur, but I don't know. I feel like season 2 might be, they might move away from.
Yeah.
I feel like they have to. At some point, the show has to start making Isildur a bigger character. Is the thing.
Here's the thing I first say, right? First of all, for kingdoms and worrying about men's kingdoms, all we have seen are Southlanders who didn't have a king. We have not gone anywhere to the west. There could be kingdoms there that Gondor eventually becomes, that Rohan eventually becomes. It could be within a scattering of kingdoms that eventually join together under a Isildur and become a true kingdom. Not a Isildur, Elendil. Like that is a possibility, 100%.
Yeah.
We don't hear as many of those kingdoms, but sure we can see. I mean, to be fair, Lord of the Rings doesn't really mention a lot of those kingdoms either.
It doesn't, and a clue towards that actually might being the case is that when Galadriel actually is asking Librarian Elf for things, I think what his words are actually, he doesn't specifically say the Southlands. He says something like, we don't have a lot of, or these are elven. It's an elven library or whatever. We don't have a lot of things here concerning the kingdoms of men or something like that. He doesn't specify to Galadriel, oh, it's not, we don't keep a lot of stuff here about the Southlands. He says men in general, and I think he uses a plural that, as in, there either have been in the past or there are currently other places where men live. They're not just in Numenor or the Southlands.
What's it called? Hilltop. What's the
Weathertop?
name? Weathertop. There's an old structure there. Who's to know that's not a keep that we've forgotten about? Like, there could have been many scattered, random little kingdoms. Hell, the Shire is still free for taking. There's no one living there.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
I
I mean, when does Saruman's tower get built? Like, it's there before he arrives.
In the next age.
No, but that's the thing. It isn't. It's there before.
Oh, Orthanc? Saruman didn't build Orthanc?
No, Orthanc was around before.
He just moved
Saruman.
into it?
Yeah, fairly sure.
Oh, okay.
Anyone feel free to correct me, but I'm fairly sure it's there before him. So, like, there are structures there. I think it's perfectly valid for there to be a few kingdoms we just haven't heard of yet. Like you mentioned,
yeah, probably.
Don't have records of it. And it wasn't relevant just yet.
And it soon will be.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine she probably has sent off a few soldiers off to maybe a few kingdoms, like the Queen, to Middle-earth and see what's going on. Because they haven't been in contact in a while.
Yeah, maybe. She definitely left some behind with the Southlands people, I guess, to escort them to this former colony that's soon going to be. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe there's already something there. They just don't have a record.
There probably is. There's definitely people still there.
Yeah,
it's not. Yeah, new.
So maybe that's a big conflict we'll get. Maybe this is where Isildur comes into it, and he brings people together to fight on the same side. Numenorians and people of Middle Earth in general.
Yeah, I feel like they're edging us towards a civil war sort of situation in Numenor anyway, with the whole sort of the faithful versus like people who hate everybody sort of thing.
We should probably jump to that though. Because
just real quick, just one last thing I did want to mention very quickly. So the choice that Galadriel first and then Elrond both make in deciding. So Galadriel knows for a fact, an absolute fact, that she has just led Sauron into the heart of an elven city. She spent time with Lord Sauron. She's brought him to Numenor. She's done all these things. She knows Sauron is now alive, and she chooses not to tell anybody. She chooses not to say, we can't make these rings because that was fucking Sauron. Yeah. But not only that, Elrond makes the same choice. Now, not to the extent, Elrond obviously doesn't know that he is specifically Sauron, but he knows...
I think suspicions, though. Elrond can see things that even the elves
themselves can't. Even if he can't, he knows for a fact... The two things that we definitely know that Elrond is 100% certain of is that Halbrand is not who he said he was, or who Halbrand was lying to them. And secondly, Galadriel hates him, and there's something seriously bad went down between him and Galadriel. Even to put two and two together, it's just, who does Galadriel hate more than anybody? Oh, it's Halbrand is Sauron. Okay.
Those kids that threw stones at the blue paper boat first.
And it's the way she says it as well, isn't it? About the trust thing where Elrond is about to say something, and she reminds him that literally 20 minutes ago in the episode, Elrond said he'd never like not listen to her again. Basically, when she told him.
Poor Elrond keeps getting mixed up in his words. It's like, oh, you're not going to tell anyone about this magic stone, will you? And like, you have to tell us about magic stone. It's very important. And, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting though. I think that was the pride of the elves on full display as well.
Oh, 100%.
Like
All three of them as
all
well.
the three of them, yeah, they were all. Celebrimbor was just mad with fucking ring fever or whatever.
I mean, no, he's straight up saying, "I'm gonna be like the greatest ever." Like,
What's they call it in? What's the fucking? They have a name for it, isn't it? Gold fever, gold madness, Celebrimbor has that, but for rings, basically in this thing.
No,
Do you?
fame. That's why he doesn't care about the ring. It's the fame.
Do you reckon? Because obviously the three people standing around the three rings all do eventually get a ring of power, but they're not the original. Well, except for Galadriel, like they're not. Elrond and Celebrimbor are not supposed to immediately pick up one of these and put them on.
I think Celebrimbor actually gets one of them.
So
Initially.
not straight away is the thing.
No, you keep talking.
So Galadriel gets hers straight off the bat. She keeps it forever. Gil-galad gets the other two first, and then he gives one to Celebrimbor, and then he gives the other one to Círdan, and then Círdan gives that one to Gandalf. Eventually.
Okay, all right.
But I wonder if they are. I wonder.
Vilnia and Nara went to Elven High King Gil-galad of Lindon, who trusted Vilya to Elrond and Narya to Círdan. So Elrond does get it. Elrond gets the ring. First pick.
Oh, I always thought Elrond got it after Celebrimbor.
No, and Narya to Círdan, who I don't think has shown up in this yet. Elven Lords of Rivendell and Mithlond, respectively. These rings were kept by blah 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 following the rival, and then Galadriel then Nenya was given to Galadriel. So, no, Lady of Lothlorien, mother of Elrond's wife, Celebrian. Okay, yeah. Give it to Galadriel. Yeah, sorry. I'm getting
Next time on Dan Live reads the Lord of the Rings Wikipedia.
Excuse me, it's the one wiki to rule them all.
Yeah, that's what the Lord of the Rings Wikipedia is called.
There's like 3.
Okay, all right, fine. Sorry, Jesus. Maybe don't read it out on air next time.
Because you never did this.
I read it in my mind space, Daniel, while we're on air. I don't mumble it into the microphone.
Yeah, and then you rearranged it to make it sound like you came up with it. We know your trick.
Yeah, that's the power of being a well-rounded individual.
Yes, okay, cool.
That's me.
But yes, so anyway, that's it. So we know that Elrond gets one, Galadriel gets one, and some dude we haven't met yet gets one. But I have a feeling they might just go, Gil-galad might keep it for a little bit. Because,
and then Celebrimbor will try and steal it, probably.
Oh, can you imagine they just go to him still, and he's still expecting the crown? He just like puts out rings like, it's small.
I don't think it's gonna fit me.
Just do your elven magic thing.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So that's that thing all tied up in a bow, nice and neatly. Let's get to the other big reveal. The most boring plot line in the world finally got interesting.
There's something else
the King of Numenor is dead, and Elendil's sister is probably poisoned by a Palantir or something. Whatever.
Yeah. He seems to also like see her as someone he knows, and I guess
interestingly, if you've been watching House of the Dragon, just funny that there are similar things happening in both the shows in the same episode on the same week.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Anyway. Yes. Then.
Yeah, that all happens. Meanwhile,
now your theory from last week, you said there were those white weird people chasing
the
down
white weird people.
Mr. Not Gandalf, and they claim him as Gandalf. And I mentioned, but maybe they don't know.
Sauron, first of all. If you're gonna try and make me look like an idiot, maybe use the right names.
Yeah. No, I was just calling Not Gandalf. Just because that was so I've been calling him throughout this entire series.
You've been calling him Not Gandalf throughout this entire series.
Pretty much.
So you agree you didn't think he was Gandalf?
No. It was just like, he's not Gandalf. Oh, wink, wink. What? Nudge, nudge.
Listen,
anyway.
The show still hasn't told us he's Gandalf.
You are grasping onto that.
Nah, he's fucking alright. The stranger is Gandalf. The stranger.
Okay. So anyway, those 3 weird ones, they seem to be made of weird moths and like live in the invisible world. and that's what they are. And they hunt him down, like, "Hey, Lord Sauron, you've returned." And he's just like, "Am I Sauron? Yes, you are." And like, "Oh, that's great, wonderful." And the hobbits hunt him down and are able to break him out. And eventually, Nori says, "No, you're not bad. I know you're not bad. You get in there, kid. Get in the 1-2." But
Yeah.
once they, Lenny Henry gets stabbed.
Lenny Henry's dead. Rest in peace to Lenny Henry. Nobody really cares, but he's dead. Gandalf is Gandalf now, except they won't say his name is Gandalf, probably because at this point he didn't have a name, so he's not actually called Gandalf, but he's the wizard who will eventually become Gandalf. The wizard soon to be known as Gandalf. Which I hate. I really don't want that. I just hate.
They
God.
need to keep the hobbits in there.
Good God, I was like, yes, finally. First of all, he slightly remembers things, and even though this is his first time ever being on this Middle Earth, he has anecdotes about the importance of adventure and stuff.
I was going to say, he speaks English now properly. Like after
no, he can talk. Yeah, he's fine now. Like he doesn't fully remember why he's here or exactly who he is, but he remembers a lot of stuff apparently.
But you follow your nose and you'll be all
yeah, he says the follow your nose line, which is, they want. So he's Gandalf, and they also say he's an Astari, so he's Gandalf.
Yeah.
And then
he's the other Astari. How many?
Unless following your nose is just a common Astari saying that they have amongst each other. But he's gone off to the east. He's going to Rune on a journey of self-discovery, accompanied by an annoying little hobbit called Nori.
I like Nori. Don't give out to her.
I will give out to her.
No, she's great.
I'm giving out to her right now. Nori, I don't like you or your accent. All right?
Okay, well, the latter part is acceptable. Yeah. Well, yeah, so that's kind of the story of, I guess, Gandalf's entry into Middle-earth. They mention he's the other Astari. Now, Astari is not a term for...
No, that's not what they said.
What did they say?
It was... It was phrased oddly, but it was two separate utterances, basically. Okay. They said he's not... Oh, it's not him. He's the other, the Istar.
The Istar. Okay.
They said singular, and it was like, he's the other, full stop, the Istar, like as a title kind of thing.
So here's the thing. Do you think the Istar can be a term if there haven't been other Istars in Middle-earth? Because Istar basically comes like wizard man. That's basically what it translates into, right?
Gandalf tells Nori that in your language, it translates to wise one or wizard.
Yeah, exactly. So, what do you think is the deal? Do you think there's other?
What's the deal with the Astari?
Because the thing is, if this is the name of an order at this stage, were there other Istar? Are there other Istar already in Middle-earth?
Listen, if they're gonna say Gandalf is knocking about the place, why not? Surely the rest of them are at some point. They're somewhere. Maybe they've been here before, and people sort of. I don't know. This is why he needs to go to Rune in the east, which I am looking forward to seeing Rune. It'll be cool to see that.
Very interesting. Especially because, we get the implication that that's where Sauron's meant to head himself, but Sauron has now decided to go to the Southlands, into Mordor.
Yeah. So the three made up people for the TV show. I can't remember. They have names that are also weird. One of them's called the Nomad, and the other one's called the Adjacent or something, or the Nascent or something weird. Anyway, they're dead now. Whatever. They think that Gandalf is Sauron because he fell from the sky in a giant fireball. Which fair enough. Listen, we all thought it at one stage, all right? It's fair enough, okay? I'd trust in my gut on that one. So they're like, oh, we'll bring you back to Rune and teach you how to use your powers. Sauron doesn't need to be taught how to use his powers, I guess. Like the actual Sauron.
I think they must have, through observation, thought that he lost some of his memory due to like a curtain being put on him. They mentioned something.
Yeah, they said the ones who cast you down or something, I'll teach you how to get back at them or whatever. So they think Sauron has been reduced to this old fella who doesn't remember how to use his powers or whatever, and they're going to help him, and in return Sauron's going to help them or whatever. But
I got a question for you then. Do you think Halbrand knew he was Sauron from the start?
Yeah.
Do you think it's because he says he was trying to get to the Valar on that boat?
I
Because it's the
think.
first one that came out of my mind. When I said, he went, no, never mind, I'm wrong.
What?
He says that he tried to get to the Valar when he met
Yeah, that's what he
Galadriel.
was doing. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
he
yeah.
was trying to reach
But I mean, that
Valinor
could also
or
be
whatever.
like he instinctively tried to return home if he had lost his memory, like. And
Yeah, I
it is
don't.
a
No, I
Sauron.
don't think he lost his memory. I think Halbrand. I think this whole time he's been like, this has been his plan. This whole
Mm,
time is to like I remember, like, you know, we were talking about like, I don't know, it was a few episodes ago that like all of these things are probably Sauron is back when I was like I was under the impression that Sauron wasn't going to be a guy in the show.
yeah,
Like we weren't just going to have like he's Sauron. It was just going to be a presence, and everything
yeah,
that's happening is part of Sauron's plan. He's like he's
yeah.
pulling all these strings and he's influencing people and he's whispering in ears and all this kind of stuff. So I think either he may not necessarily have been truthful when he said I was trying to get back to Valinor, because
Yeah.
I guess he would have known he couldn't, but like it may have been part of his plan to stage a convenient meeting with Galadriel to set things in.
No, I disagree. I think he was trying to get back in, and it's how the Silmarils talk it as well. He does return to the Valar at one stage. Like that is a thing that happens.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
I don't
think
know. With as many layers to him, he's like an
here's a
onion.
question: do you think Adar was lying when he said he killed Sauron? When he looked at Sauron in the face, when I don't know who you are.
I think maybe Adar thinks he killed Sauron,
Yeah,
which is what we said
because
at the
otherwise,
time.
if
Anyway,
this is
like
how Sauron looked like to Adar before, you would have thought Adar would have been a bit more surprised. Like, holy shit, it's you! You know?
yeah. Well, I wonder if like because we saw like the kind of flashback images of Sauron like
Yeah.
previously, and he was the typical like big horned helmet swinging a mace kind of Sauron. So like, is that what Adar thinks he killed? Adar think he stabbed that guy, and he just went whoa, like poofed away for a while.
The three hermits that were looking for Sauron, but went to Gandalf instead. Do you think that they were made in that experiment in the north? That Sauron was trying to connect to the unseen world? Because they are part of
Mm,
the unseen world. We
I
saw them. We saw their spiritual forms.
I don't know. I don't know what they are, to be quite honest. They're from Rune.
Yes, and they are connected to the unseen world.
Yeah,
That was
but
part of his
I don't
experiment.
know. I'm wondering now, like, if we go to Rune, are there more of them? Are there people?
Yeah.
Because they said they'll teach you, and Rune is where the answers are. Are there people knocking about Rune who can just use magic like that?
Do you know what I'd love to see? If the blue wizards show up in Rune, and that they were working for Sauron in that regard. That's where, because we see these three, they're using staffs of magic and all that. And we have been told before that the blue wizards went into the east to teach necromancy. So like there's bits and pieces here that I'm like, I'd be kind of interested to see the blue wizards having joined the side there.
Maybe that's why we don't know much about them. They were bad bastards, man.
Yeah, a few more theories on later
Yeah.
writings, but yeah. That's
All right,
about it.
let's knock out our final thoughts.
Okay.
Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
So on the whole, now that we've seen the whole first season, what do you think?
Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this series. This is not the movie Lord of the Rings as much as they try to be at times, but I think they got the feeling of a second age right. There is more magic in this world. There's more, like, it has more of a mythical focus than the more Hobbit story of the Lord of the Rings. I will say I felt the final, though overall great, I didn't love the whole Sauron and Galadriel, the ring making process of how quick that was and how quick it was put underneath the covers. I think they rushed it there to like say, all right guys, we'll show you Sauron exists, all right? It's fine. I think they messed up there a little bit. But I'm really curious to see what the second season brings.
Yeah, I think overall I loved it, to be honest. Obviously there's things I wasn't crazy about. It's strange What I'm about to say is going to sound odd, considering we had a total runtime of these 8 episodes for about 9.5 hours. But the ending felt rushed. Like, somehow, I don't know how it felt rushed. But at the same time, I'm really happy that they didn't drag out any more of this, like, who's Sauron? He could be anyone. Or the stranger. Who's the stranger? Is he Sauron? Is he ever going to learn how to talk and not just be bumbling all the time? Like, I'm glad they moved past that now. Like, they can kind of get into some more proper things. I was kind of getting old. The whole stranger thing was getting a bit old. It was getting a bit tiresome.
It was. There was this bit like, oh, he's still walking with the hobbits.
Yeah, it was just that every episode was just constant the same stuff, and I was like, okay, like we get it, all right, we know what's just to have
The
something.
interesting thing is, right, they've moved from pure mystery of who these characters are to the mystery of what they will be doing, where they will be going. That's the interesting part, because that's what kept the series alive, wasn't it? People having theories about who's doing who's who and what are they doing. Now for the next season and up to it, we talk about where are they going to go? What will they be up to? Like, what are the plans? How is this going to divert from the Silmarillions? Because this is where actually I find a lot of interest now. Not just that, hey, it has to be spot on to the Silmarillions, but now it's like, how is this actually different? And seeing the different parts of the canon. I'm looking forward to seeing the adaptation process now.
Yeah, and I have to say, that's true for all of them as well. Like, I'm interested to see what happens with Queen Miriel in Numenor. Like, what's going to happen with her and Elendil's situation and going forward, and how they're going to deal with the fallout of her dad dying. And I'm even interested to see whether or not Isildur's sister has gone insane, or if she's been like.
Hey, what about Nori?
No, I don't care for Nori. To be honest, not all of them.
Aren't you gonna miss her entire village?
No, I really hope we never see them again.
I like her mom and dad. They were grand. They were interesting characters.
Listen, all of them were grand, but I just didn't care. I was just like, yeah, whatever. I really, actually, I'm so happy. I truly, 100%. I was sitting there, and she was saying her goodbyes or whatever, and she was leaving, and then Polly ran after her, and I 100%, I thought they were going to do some version of the life. You might be going alone, Mr. Frodo, but I'm coming with you. And I was like, please don't do it. Just come on now.
Yeah.
So I'm at least happy that it's just one of them.
I am interested to see what happens to the hobbits in general, though. Like, why they settle, if Nori has something to do with it. Because I mean, there's always this talk in, with Bilbo, is that he has a bit of tuck in him, as well as Baggins, and there's this like nature that contrasts against him. The nature of just relaxing, being at home and having a pipe and eating some food, and the adventure one. And I wonder, is Nori and all the things that the hobbits think about, like saying, oh no, you don't mess with people on the outside world, but then also settling. I want to see where all of this falls and why. Like the culture.
I don't.
I'm really interested. I am, because I like hobbits. Apparently you hate him now, so
never cared for them.
You don't care for Samwise Gamgee. You wash.
He's a specific person that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Just like, no, it's not the Hobbit. I just wasn't interested in them as much as anything else, to be honest. And it was mostly because nothing happened in their plot.
I think there is something interesting to come. What changes them as a culture?
But do you think in season 2 we're gonna see any of the other Harfoots?
No,
it's just Nori and.
I hope we get a break for a season from them.
Yeah, I think it'll be Nori and
who knows,
Gandalf wandering around.
Maybe they settle down between the time we see him next. They may have actually decided to settle down because wars are brewing. They don't know where to go safely anymore. They lost their pathfinder, so they think, no, we'll settle and stay here for a while.
Yeah, or Polly's probably going to be the new pathfinder, but I wonder why. I'm also what I really want to know, I guess, going forward, is what's their plan for Gandalf in this show? Like, what's he? Because there's no way they can't be building. Like, Gandalf isn't surely now. Say, obviously not in season 2, but right. So he goes to the east. obviously they're leading him towards he has to remember who he is, kind of thing. He has to discover why he's been sent to Middle Earth and stuff. But why has he been sent to Middle Earth? Like, why is Gandalf? Is he going to go back and like? Is Gandalf going to be present during the Last Alliance? And is Gandalf going to be the one who's kind of like helping Galadriel? Is Gandalf going to fight Sauron at some point? Because it feels like they're.
No, I don't think anything is going to happen. And if they do, I think it's a mistake. Because we have, from the mouth of Mordor, he makes a big point to Gandalf saying, "Oh, Sauron is aware of you. He has seen you dipping in and out, always keeping your distance, but we have been aware of you." So I think the general feel of Lord of the Rings, at least, is that Sauron and Gandalf never met face to face, and they probably won't for this show. But
then why?
In and out. Because that's what Gandalf does. He makes allegiances all over. He brings people together. Maybe we're going to see more of Isildur. Maybe we'll see him like at the formation of Rohan. That's where we'll see him, not at the front line fighting. That's not what Gandalf is about. It's never really been about that.
But this is not like we've already seen him even in this episode more blatantly use his powers in this whole season.
But he doesn't know who he is completely yet, but he's starting to. And I think
he doesn't. No, I mean he doesn't. But I think that I don't know. There's something odd about like presenting Gandalf like this, almost as it felt to me like doing both reveals at once and saying here's Sauron, here's Gandalf, almost felt like here's the villain, here's the hero. Yeah, like Gandalf's gonna be like, haha.
Just keep in mind, 3 people were introduced throughout this series that follow that. Galadriel as well. Galadriel is the enemy of Sauron in this. And that's an even more interesting question, because we never really, we don't even read Lord of the Rings and say, oh, and then Galadriel fought against Sauron. She was probably involved, but in later battles, I don't think as much. This is the thing. We have 4 seasons left to go. I think we're going to see an emerging of who these characters really are. I wouldn't be surprised if they introduce Saruman next season and have him arrive, because the whole thing was the Maya, usually who Gandalf is, don't usually know who everything they knew when they were back in Valinor. Like they're kind of like they have ideas, they have broken up ideas of why they're here, but their actual true mission is something that they kind of discover over time. Like they don't remember, oh yeah, I was talking to one of the Valar the other day and she told me to do this, this, and this. No, they have a vague idea that they have to go there to save men and help them. And I think Gandalf is going to discover this, maybe, by the unseen force in Lord of the Rings and Tolkien's tellings, because it's always been like there are greater powers at play. And maybe Nori is one of those the powers manipulating her to make Gandalf realize what he's there for. That he's a good person, that he's here to help. Because that's what she says. He is good and he's here to help.
And he's going to do that help by punching Sauron in the face several times.
This is why I want to see the Blue Wizards, because I think that will retextualize himself. Why is Gandalf here if he meets the Blue Wizards? The Blue Wizards could be here for a while. They might even be allies for a while.
And on that note, what did you guys think of the Rings of Power Season 1 as a whole? Let us know. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you like Gandalf? Do you hate Gandalf? Do you love Sauron?
YouTube video of ours without actually listening to the video and just say random things in regards to our summary in our video?
Will you do that? I hope not. Anyway, we'll be back. No more Rings of Power. We're returning to the realm of movie things, and myself.
All Rings stuff left.
Yeah. Well, next up it's fucking Halloween Town, baby. We're doing some spoopy stuff for the month that's in it. God help my sanity. We will be back.
Thursday and Friday or something.
I don't know. Whatever we're doing, we'll be back at some point, very shortly. In the meantime, peace.
Bye.
Asherlo. It's a big rant.